Hello and welcome back to another episode of Learning with Lindsey. If you have any questions that you want answered about the weather, you can email us at weatherquestions@wrag.com and it can feature here on our episodes of Learning with Lindsey. Now, this week I wanted to start something new. I'm talking about different weather on different planets. Of course, we know about the weather on the Earth, and you can watch the show at any time during the week, or just our regularly programmed newscasts and learn more if you want about the Earth's weather. But what we're going to start with is the weather on Venus, just right next to Earth, and it is in fact the most inhospitable planet. The atmosphere is 100% CO2, so carbon dioxide. Obviously already that's a no-go for us, but you can also see the pressure is 90 times stronger than Earth's pressure, if you can imagine that. A couple of weeks ago we were talking about the pressure changes and how it affects our body, just going from a high pressure to a low pressure. If you can imagine, 90 times stronger than Earth's pressure. The surface temperature also will reach 460 degrees Celsius or 840 degrees Fahrenheit. So already, okay, you've got strong pressure, incredibly strong pressure, incredibly high temperatures. I don't even know an oven that would go up to that temperature. I mean, I know some baking ovens will go up to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. That's as much as I've ever worked with. So 840 degrees Fahrenheit in the atmosphere is completely carbon dioxide. If that wasn't enough, it also rains sulfuric acid. Now, not to mention, it also, even though temperatures are up to 840 degrees Fahrenheit, I still can't wrap my head around that, you might actually see a little bit of snow. It's not quite snow, but it is pretty interesting. So, of course, it rains sulfuric acid, but there's intense heat at the surface. So whatever rain happens, it's going to evaporate before it even hits the surface. That evaporation of the vaporized metals, it'll turn into metallic minerals like lead sulfide and bismuthinite, at higher elevations. When it starts to cool, it's going to lift with that cooler air, that higher elevation, and turn into vaporized crystals. And that's going to turn into this reflective metallic frost or snow on some of the mountains on Venus. So Venus, just to sum up, most inhospitable planet, atmosphere is 100% CO2, 90 times stronger pressure than on Earth. Surface temperatures are 840 degrees Fahrenheit, and it rains sulfuric acid. Definitely wouldn't want to check that out. All right, next up, we're going to go take a look at Neptune. Neptune, it looks pretty. I love this color blue. Stunning. It is extremely cold. It's also a gas giant, home to frozen methane clouds and violent winds. I believe the most violent winds in all of the planets. The topography is practically flat, so there's no friction to slow those winds. I don't know if you've ever driven down a street and there's a bunch of trees just to the side of you, and then you get those winds in a patch of area that has no trees. You can feel the winds, and then when you drive past the trees again, winds are pretty much stopping. So they have no friction, no trees, no nothing. Topography is flat, no mountains on Neptune, and so the winds don't have a chance to slow down. So you get these supersonic methane winds that reach speeds of 1,500 miles per hour. I also talked about how cold it was, minus 200 degrees Celsius or minus 330 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the surface temperatures. Extremely, extremely cold. And the carbon atmosphere. This was interesting. I am fascinated by this part, but carbon atmosphere is highly compressed, which means that it produces diamond rain on Neptune. Wouldn't that be something to see? I would love to go check that out. All right, and lastly, for this round of learning about the different weather on different planets is Jupiter. I know most people know about Jupiter, the big red storm that's on Jupiter. So, you might want to think about that. Jupiter has a little bit of a aggressive or stormy surface. The atmosphere is mostly hydrogen and helium, but the visible clouds that we can see on a telescope or anything like that, it's made up of ammonia. Clouds closer to the surface, the ones that we can't see underneath those ammonia clouds, are actually made up of water. And the giant storm that red giant storm that we were just talking about is the largest anticyclonic storm, and it's twice the size of Earth. So that's how big it is. I think it's right there. There it is. You can see it on this picture behind all those words. That big red storm that Jupiter is so famously known for. The powerful jet stream, so they also have extremely powerful winds, not 1,500-mile-per-hour winds like on Neptune, but they are extremely strong east to west zonal winds, and they create those colorful bands. You can see you got these darker colors, lighter colors all across Jupiter. So it is a very picturesque planet. Those wind speeds are roughly 300 to 400 miles per hour. So like I said, not anywhere close to the 1,500-mile-per-hour winds that Neptune has, but still extremely strong. And then in some of those massive storms, there's also this super lightning. It's driven by water vapor condensation. That lightning is generated, the lightning that's generated is hundreds of times more powerful than the lightning on Earth. Hundreds of times more powerful. The temperatures on the surface are also around minus 110 degrees Celsius or minus 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So not as volatile as Neptune's temperatures, but definitely still extremely cold. I'm going to go over the other planets in another episode of Learning with Lindsey, but I just thought that was interesting about how inhospitable some of the planets are, even just in our close proximity, not even the ones, Neptune, the very last planet, but just right, our neighbors. I always find that interesting. And then the diamond ring on Neptune, also a fun fact. So if you want to learn any more fun facts, you can email us at weatherquestions@wreg.com and ask any questions you want to know about the weather, and I will try and answer it here on Learning with Lindsey.